Hey guys, welcome back to Angel Angela, and on this topic, I am on here going to talk to you guys today about the narcissist parents and the golden child. The narcissist parents and the golden child. So the reason you guys, this topic is going to be very important is because sometimes we spend a lot of time, angry because we've been ostracized by these people and we've been targeted, and we don't really know why we were targeted and why, maybe our sibling or someone else has been picked and, they're everyone's favorite. And this could be anywhere. This could be at school. This could be anywhere where someone is favoritized. And, I think it's not so much about them being the favorite that will bother you. It's the fact that that child will keep letting you know in many different ways that they are that favorite child. They're in a competition with you. They are copycats. They are always stealing ideas from you and making it their own. They are always trying to be in full control. Even when you're telling them to back away, and if you tell them to not cross your boundaries, they will victimize themselves. They will lie about situations. They will put words in, they will put words in your mouth, and they will tell other people nasty things that you've said about them or others. And, they'll bring out every flaw, everything that you've ever done in the past or when you were, a child. They'll bring up things to compare themselves to you, to reinforce consistently to that narcissistic parent. Like, look, see, this is why they're dumb. This is why they're this. This is why, I should be the one in charge of everything. Or, she needs to learn, he needs to learn his role in this family. His role is to not say anything. Her role is to not say anything. We really didn't treat her that bad, or we didn't really treat him that bad. Yes, we might have used, these people for a lot of stuff and their time, and we made them do a lot of things when in reality, we really, if it really came down to it, we would almost look at you like a stranger, someone from the street. It's just that we're giving you a job title in order to stick around. And you're thinking that is not natural. Like, your parents supposed to love you no matter what. You're living in that, we're supposed to be a family. Or these people will start to demonize you, and they'll, start telling you that maybe you need to go to church, maybe you need to go to therapy, all these things. They'll tell you what you need to do with yourself. So now you think something's wrong with you. You think you're crazy. So sometimes you'll see that all of your siblings will be against you, but then your dad or your other parent will be on your side. And when that person dies, it's going to feel like, the people that you thought you could trust were never trustworthy, because now you don't know who is who and what is what, because the people you always had a feeling about are more sinister than what you think that they were. It's like you're at war with all these people, and now it's like, it's a make or break situation, and most people break because these are the people they trust the most. It's like, well, I learned everything from you guys, so, you don't tend to compare them to strangers, and you have loyalty to these people. You defend them. You're there for them. You believe their stories and what they tell you. You never have questioned their stories. You've never questioned their stories. So I realized, that my mother's mother would tell the same stories over and over and over again. This is how I know the person that's favoritized, it's something more sinister than people just believe. It's something way, way more sinister. And there's things going on that you think you know these people. Even when you figure out that these people are competitive, are hateful, are finding reasons to belittle you, even when you find out all these things and you're like, I knew they were evil, but I didn't know they were this evil. Even when it gets to that point where you're like, wow, shocked, there's still a lot of things that you still don't know. Just like when a narcissist, and you discard the narcissist or they discard you, and this person's wicked, they're demonic, a lot of things happen in this relationship, but deep inside, even though you know a lot of things, there's still stuff that you did not know for sure. So that's how it is when you're dealing with a narcissistic family. And the golden child is that there's stuff going on, and I know, because I would watch these people and I would watch how they would be together as a group, and how every time one person left, they would continue talking. Another person would leave, they would continue talking. Another person would leave, they would continue talking. And I'm just a little kid sitting down watching, not saying anything, and I'm not thinking anything of it until I became conscious. And then I started thinking back, and I was like, oh, they would gather together in groups and have these secret meetings, like a secret society type of thing. And you would think it's normal, it's just a family meeting. But then looking back at the conversations that I still remember that were imprinted in my mind, and I don't know if they believed I would never go back to those memories, because most narcissists don't like to think about the past, because they have recreated their past in their mind. They have recreated their story. So, what I noticed about my mother's mother is that she would always tell the same stories over and over and over again, basically to the point where it's like, it's like she's trying to pass these stories down so that will be the memory that you have of her. But that's not really the reality of those memories and the things that she actually went through. She just recreated those memories, and she keeps telling people these stories, and everyone, respects her. So they're like, because of the things that she was able to succeed in her success. And I've already talked to you guys about being the preacher's kid and how I was used. And, she never evolved until I was around her, preaching with her. So I would think back, and I would think to myself, how did she get an award for all these things until I am the one who came in the picture, and she didn't want me to go back home to my mother's after she was getting all that attention at church, and she started recreating more lies about my mother. She already had ruined her life in many ways, because they brought her down in order to put themselves up. So my mom's a nurse, a teacher, and the golden child, they're a banker. They're working at the bank. They're working their way up to management, and you're jealous of my mother, basically. So I feel as if, she felt like the moment that my mother would gain consciousness, because when I would look at those pictures of her when she was younger, I could tell in her eyes that she was not conscious. She was just doing stuff. So I realized that she, the golden child, was wicked, and she knew that eventually she would wake up, and when she would wake up, she would make her look less successful, And the golden child ended up stealing from the bank. The golden child ended up trying to put me down and destroy me too, just like she did to my mom. It was like a cycle that was continuing. And they have their own version of what happened, and really they don't have proof. They don't have any real stories. Their stories are usually fake. So they add a lot of stuff and then they accuse you of stuff that you never even did at all. Like, so that's how I know they're lying. But it's like, how do you prove that you're lying? It's like narcissists have this thing where between the narcissistic parent and the golden child, they will make up lies and they will tag team people and they will believe those lies, both of them together as a unit. They will believe those lies and it will seem so realistic because both of them will be emotional, they'll cry, and it's not like one person doing this, or it's not like the golden child is crying or putting on a show trying to victimize themselves and the narcissistic parent is just there watching, not saying anything or patting. You would think that narcissistic parent would be like, I don't really want to lie, but it's also my daughter, so I know I have to be on her side or his side, right? And I'm just not going to have a comment. I don't have nothing to say. This is my kid. That's all there is to it, right? That's what you would think. Or you would think they would be the type of parent to say, you know what, that's wrong. That's wrong. Tell the truth. I didn't raise you guys to lie like that. Tell the truth. Forgive each other. Like, you would think it would be either or, right? But when you're dealing with a narcissistic parent and the golden child, they work as one mind. It's like they're half brains, and when they come together, they're a whole brain. So you'll think to yourself, why does this person think they're so smart? And it seems like they're working as a half brain. Literally, you're like, this person's functioning on half their brain. How do they have this? Why am I the one they keep belittling when I have a whole brain and I used my whole brain and I'm actually putting it into action? But you guys are so busy trying to put others down when it doesn't have to be that way. Why can't I just play my role and you play your role as the golden child? Why? Like, I don't care if you're the golden child or in control, because I want you to feel like you're in control. I want you to feel you should be in control of yourself. Just don't control me. Just don't control me. They're mad because when they're lying and they're doing things, they know that you're not going to agree. You're going to be that person that doesn't agree with them, or that person that, even if you don't say anything, they know that they're lying and they know that you don't agree with it. So even if you don't say anything, they just know the way you think and they know you don't agree with it. So they're like, we already know how you think. We already sized you up. And then their perception of you is actually wrong. It's partly right because they know you're not on their side. So they know you're different. But then their perception is that you're weak because of it, right? They're like, we're always ready for battle. Like, you're weak because of that, And you might be ready for battle, but you're not. You're going to pick and choose your battles. And with them, it's like anyone who even questions us, we're going to destroy. Even if they question us even a little bit, or they do something we don't like, we'll invade their privacy. We'll start doing illegal things. We'll start, breaking locks and going inside your home illegally, snooping around. We'll start doing illegal stuff. Like, we don't care. We'll start stealing. We'll start stealing from our own jobs. Like, so narcissists, the things that they're very manipulative. But then it's like they're working off of a half brain. But when they come together, it's a hive mind, right? It's a hive mind. When the family comes together, it's a hive mind and everyone has a role to play. But with the golden child, it's not just a hive mind. It's a ringleader relationship. It's a ringleader relationship. And the reason this is important, and I'm sharing this with you guys, is because the narcissist parent and that golden child are going to have secrets, things that you guys, as a unit don't know and others don't know. They're going to have secret languages, secret rituals, as everyone is in the group is leaving and departing one at a time after this meeting and all these little secret parties and gatherings they have and basically rituals they have in their little cults and their families, as each person leaves, they're talking about each other. One person leaves, they're talking about the person that left. Another person leaves, they're talking about that person that left. But when they're together, they're talking about other people. They're talking about other people. Every time someone leaves, they're talking about that person until it's the last person that's left with the narcissistic parent, which is the golden child. The golden child will always make sure that they're the last to come and that they're the last to go. They love being late to parties. They're like, I'm gonna be late to party because it's my party. It's a family gathering, but they're like, it's my party and I'm going to sit next to mom and I'm going to, do this. And they're just super fake, they're super fake and they're super delusional. You'll see them and you'll be looking at them like, what is wrong with this man? What is wrong with this lady? Like, it's not that serious. And, sometimes their children are very, everything is just given to them and they don't appreciate it. They're not, they're living in another world. They, are being controlled by their narcissistic parents. And then when they realize they've been controlled, but then they realize that their parent is the golden child, they start to feel like they're the golden kids. They're like, my mom's the gold. So when they come into consciousness, they know what's going on. They know what's going on. And the golden grandkids, they're not going to care, So I could be raised by this lady and I'm the one that, made her get certificates and all type of things at an old age, because you have to think about it. If you have been coming to a church and they've never given you an award and you're nearly 70 years old, but now you're coming in there with a little girl doing the same thing you've always done, but now people are actually coming to your gatherings and they're coming in packs and you end up getting a praise because of it. And then the reason I know that for sure, because I have memories of her having to prove to other people, like, no, I've been coming to this church for this long. I didn't just start coming here. She would say that so many times that I actually remembered it, meaning that people were in and out of that church for so many years that people, saw her as a new person. Old people would leave and then there's new people. So they're like, who's this lady? She's just hanging on, but she wasn't getting any recognition for, her name in the church, even though she knew a lot of people. She knew a lot of people in the community because they came to this church. So of course she knew a lot of people in the community, but the people giving her those awards gave those awards to her during my time. She had 7 kids to raise, and not in 70 years, and you being 70 years and raising 7 kids, and you never received an award until I came in. So, and I was the only one that was really involved in the church because all your other kids didn't want to go to church like that. Only once a week. I was the one going, during the weekdays and doing things that they never did before because you were brainwashing me. You were training me. You said I had 7 kids. I had a lot of work to do. I had to work all the time. We both had to work, and we didn't have time to, have this much time with 7 kids when you can't focus on just one kid. I only focused on the golden child, and really, if I did what I did with her, I can do more for you, but you're going to have to do something for me. So I was constantly having to do stuff for her and I was only a kid, and she wasn't letting me be a kid, and she was making me, be a slave and an adult in her. And then, I was like the slave, and literally a slave, like doing slave work for her chores. Like I was like the slave, like the maid. Like when you watch movies and you see maids and stuff, like that's who I feel like I was now that I look back, or when I watch something and I see how maids, even maids who are hired to like take care of someone's child, and they have a really close relationship, they bond, almost kind of love each other, because they trust each other. It was almost like that. Like, I love you, and I thought you loved me because you trusted me, but it wasn't that. It was that you were used to me being your slave. And when you couldn't use me anymore, you gave me to the golden child. And I'm wondering, why am I going from your house to the golden child? Like, why can't I go home to my mom's? They brainwashed her, intimidated her. And she was raising her other children perfectly fine. Yet I'm over here with this lady, and they're manipulating every single person. So I had to wake my own mother up. And when she woke up, I realized I couldn't wake her all the way up either, because I could tell it was too painful for her to actually go back to think of her childhood and the things that she had told me, because she would start talking about those things, and I could tell the reason she doesn't like talking about those things is because it's painful to think about how young, beautiful, and successful she was, and how they just took it away so quickly. So, she took it upon herself to become a mother, because she felt like that's all, she just wanted that love, and then they took that too. So the golden child and the narcissistic parent, they do stuff to people. They go and do stuff to their own family, even to their own children. So I used to have a lot of, you look at the golden grandkids, because you're like, I was supposed to be the golden grandkid, or I was supposed to get treated better than this, and you're thinking the golden grandkids are getting it good, but the golden grandkids, eventually they're kind of like, I'm tired of being the golden grandkids, because everybody's gone. Like, now you guys are just picking on everyone. And now they're just like, I'm tired of being the golden grandkid. But at the same time, they still fulfill their role. And what ends up happening now is that once you're out of the picture, that narcissistic golden child starts to pick on their kids, on their children. I know this for a fact. They start picking on their children the same way they were picking on you. And, they'll start picking on their sisters and brothers. So the golden child will start picking on their siblings, right? Like they picked on my mom, they picked on other people. And they'll start picking on, after they start picking on their, they've made sure they secured their spot. They're the ones in charge of all the paperwork. They're in charge of all the money. They're in charge of everything, because they're planning on taking it all away. And you're looking up to the golden child, and you're like, I knew they were evil, but I didn't know they were this evil. Because you're thinking, if my mom was here, she would not accept this. If my mom was here, she would not tolerate what just happened. Because even though she loved the golden child, she loved all of us in our own way. And you're not even knowing that the biggest secret these two people just ran on you is the fact that they were plotting and planning on making everyone mad. They're planning their funeral. They're telling you how they want to go out. They're like, I hope I die in my sleep. I hope I don't die a painful death and anyone kills me for the stuff I've done. Even though I'm old, I'm still scared that someone will come back for me. They want a peaceful death. They're like, hey, when on my funeral, I don't want you guys to cry. I want you guys to celebrate. And, I want you guys to all wear white And the golden child is like, I'm not wearing white, mom. I'm going to wear red because I love roses. I'm going to wear red like the devil that I am. I'm going to come to the funeral dressing different and better than everyone else. And the golden child, and the narcissistic parent had this big secret. They even had a secret language. I know mine did. They had a secret language so that they can talk in front of people and people didn't know what they were saying. It was gibberish. And the big secret is that they were planning this big, like, the funeral is supposed to be the initiation of a celebration of the narcissistic parent spirit entering the golden child. So the golden child is like, yeah, I'm gonna wear something different because we're going to use the funeral as a ritual. You're not looking at it that way. You're just like, I'm going to the funeral to go see my mom and pay my respect. I'm paying the respect to my dad. You're thinking you're going to just pay respect. You're going to see that sibling and you're going to be mad. You're going to be like, this sibling took everything. They stole all the money. You're just like, oh, I can't believe this crap. Like, I knew it. I always had a feeling, but I don't know. I just didn't think they would for sure do it, but I did have a feeling. And that narcissistic golden child is like smiling, smirking at you. They're like going up there talking and they're like, look, my mother said when she died, she didn't want anyone to be crying for her. She said, don't cry for me. I'm a narcissist. You don't have to cry for me because eventually you guys are going to start waking up now that I've died. You guys are going to start waking up one at a time and you're going to realize I was full of crap. And especially when you find out I didn't leave you with anything. And don't expect me to leave you with anything because I'm not obligated to leave you with anything. I'm not obligated to do that. Like, I already did enough for all of you. And they know what they're doing, and you're someone that doesn't care about the money. That means nothing to you. It was how they acted with you before they died, or in the end, how in the end, the favoritism between the golden child and the parent, it gets to the point where the parent will move in with the golden child, or they'll be forced to move in, or you'll think they'll be forced to move in. You're thinking, oh, they're taking over my mother's house. They don't want me to come visit anymore. They're calling the police. They're putting restriction orders on me and my mother, so I won't see my mother. What kind of monster would do something like that? You're wondering why all this stuff is going on, and you're like, I might not, even though me and my mother aren't perfect, something might happen to her, or, I try to call her every day. But you'll notice that with the narcissistic parent and the golden child, you'll find yourself always calling your parent. Your parent feels like you should call them out of respect. But what you'll notice is that they're always calling the golden child. Like the golden child calls them, but you'll see that the narcissist parent will call the golden child in a way where, like, they don't really communicate in an everyday basis, all day basis, basically all day. It's an all day thing. These people talk several times a day, and you didn't know that, because your parent will probably call you and say, oh, how are you doing? Oh, just checking on you. Okay, bye. So they don't really have real conversations with their other children. It's more of a, how are you doing? And that's it. But with these other, with the golden child, they're gossiping, they're planning the funeral. They're like, this is what I want you to tell them at the funeral. They're still planning. Like, these people are constantly planning, and they're still planning even after death. And they're planning on coming back and doing that ritual. And now the narcissist feels like now they're going to become one, with the golden child. They're going to become one once they die. And this is why the golden child is very important, because the golden child is supposed to represent the new generation of that person. It's like being the queen and you're handing your crown down, and you can only hand your crown to one person. And they're like, we're basically one brain. And then once I die, we're going to become one spirit. And I'm going to be the voice in your mind. This is why a lot of times the golden child, they want the golden child to do everything that, the narcissist parent has done. They want them to follow their, footsteps or do something even beyond, even better. A lot of times if that person can't do, they mentally they're not that intelligent to do better in life. They really want to achieve more than their parent, but a lot of times it backfires on them. Sometimes they do achieve more and something happens. They do some bogus stuff because they're narcissists, and they'll tell you another story of another version of what happened, but that's because they're constantly lying and telling stories just like their narcissistic parent. So they'll lie about what happened to them, and they'll start following their parents' footsteps. They'll start going to church and doing the same things, trying to, get the same type of admiration. And when they go to this church, they'll just keep repeating the fact that their parent was recognized with an award. But you guys don't know what they did for that award. That you don't know the sweat and tears that other people like myself have went through for that person to be awarded at a very old age, just very just grimy, trying to bring you down because they felt like you were going to surpass them. You're also getting rewards too. I was also getting rewards. So they're like, no, you might surpass me and you're not my golden child. I just used you. And then they give you away to the golden child. That's the type of things they do. It's a ritual. They're half brains. They become a fool. They invoke their spirit into that golden child. That golden child is supposed to represent the next generation. This is why that narcissist parent has repeated the same stories to that narcissist mother so she can repeat it to her kids. And now her narcissistic kids, or if they might not all be narcissistic, the golden child's kids, the golden kids, right? The golden grandkids. The golden grandkids, they get to live the good life for a long time. And then it comes to a point where now the golden kids are in a competition. They already kind of knew they were in a competition, but the moment that the narcissistic grandparent, dies, and that spirit goes into the golden child's body, now that golden child is on another level of narcissism. Now they're like freaking, evil, more crazy. They don't have that guidance of that parent anymore, but they still have that parent's voice in their mind. So they know how to survive being that person and invoking that spirit of that parent. So that now they become another version of that parent, but on a worse level, on a way worse level than the first. And now the golden kids have to reap, the pain and suffering of others. And now they will victimize themselves. There's going to be a black sheep, there's going to be someone who's a black sheep. And that's going to be ostracized, of course, by that narcissistic parent. And what's going to happen is that they're going to play the victim. There's going to be certain people that are like the weakest links, and that those people believe are the weakest links because they're in a competition. And that person might have empathy, and that's weakness to them right there. The fact that what they're doing is wrong. They're like, well, we know that you don't even have to say anything. You think different. So they're like, you can't think like me. So you're out because you don't think like me. You're not going to do what I tell you to do. You're out. You don't do what I tell you to do. So you might not think like them, but then there's another kid that doesn't think like them either, but they're going to do what they say. So it's different for everyone. So now you'll see that the people that they ostracize will come to the rest of the family, and they're like trying to share their story with everyone, and everyone's like, we already knew this, and they're like, really? How? And you're looking at them like, you don't remember all the times that they were talking about me, you were going along with it, and you were also being disrespectful, because you could have just let them talk about me without having to add your 2 cents, because you adding your 2 cents made you the flying monkey. So these people were behaving very narcissistic, and they were being flying monkeys, and now they're portraying to be victims, and they believe they're victims, and then eventually they realize they've done things to others too, but they never will admit to it, and that's what makes them fake, and that's what makes you real, is that you can actually sit there and you can see everyone's position, and you can understand why everyone is the way they are. You can understand why you're the way you are, why you're different. You can put yourself in everyone's shoes. The problem is no one can put themselves in your shoes, because they only care about themselves. And they only care about themselves because they know that the person that they love the most, which is that spirit of that narcissist Jezebel, is the person they love, and they want, even though they're talking bad about this person to others, and they're trying to get answers of why they're a parent or why they're like this or whatever. They're trying to find answers, but they always knew something was off, and they will ignore, like I said, the fact that they were being flying monkeys. And when you forgive them and things like that, and you might not have the energy for them, they'll start turning on you, or they'll avoid you like a plague and not say sorry to you, or you'll try to forgive them and say, hey, I forgive you because I knew you at the time, you didn't know, but you'll see that they're not really remorseful. They're just worried about their position and where they're at with their family and things like that. So a lot of people will victimize themselves, but they don't think about what they've done to others. They think what they did to others, like the flying monkeys, the stuff that they did, the part that they took, they don't see nothing bad with it. It's like saying someone disrespected someone, and these two people start fighting, right? Each of them feel disrespected in their way, and another person jumps. One person is winning in the fight, and because that person is winning in the fight, another person gets mad and jumps in. So that's like the golden child, and then the narcissistic parent jumps in on you. It's like they're jumping you. You have to look at that. They're jumping you. It could have been a one-on-one fight. Shoot, it really could be even a 2-on-1 fight. But now all these people, flying monkeys, are jumping on you. Now it's not fair no more. The game is over. It's not fair no more. So if it's not fair no more and the rules don't apply, guess what? If the rules don't apply, everyone's going crazy now. So you'll see everyone going crazy in the end. You'll see everyone confused. And guess what? That narcissistic golden child is just sitting there like, look at all the mess we made. I wish my mother was here to see it. It's fun. But I really wish, she was here, because, so I could share my stories with her. And they'll keep going, pretending to care about all their kids, knowing well that they just want to be in full control. They just want to use their kids as little chess players, little, just moving them around however she or he desires. So that person, that golden child, is like literally that narcissistic Jezebel spirit, that parent reincarnated. And those stories are always going to be remembered and passed down to other people. So other people can admire where they came from. So you'll have all these people like little soldiers, the grandkids, or your parents are going to have kids, kids going to have kids, grandkids going to have kids. So all these stories are going to go down and be passed around, and people are going to remember those stories, and then people are going to start twisting those stories, and then, you're going to basically come to the conclusion that you don't really know who that person was, because different people had a different view or story about them. Because when I went around my narcissistic grandmother and I started bringing up things that I didn't talk about what she did to me because she'll get offended. So what I started to do was I was like, you know what? Go back and tell me all these stories you always repeat. Repeat them to me now that I'm conscious, because I'm paying attention now. You think I'm dumb. Repeat these stories to me. She's telling me these stories. I'm asking questions. No one's ever asking questions. They're just smiling and laughing, listening to you. I'm asking questions now, reading in between the lines. And every time you answer me, I'm like, I was right. I was right. I was right. She's a liar. And it's crazy because the stories that they tell seem so real. But if you know a narcissist and you know that they're evil and they're always lying and everything is always the opposite with them, you start thinking while they're talking about the opposite, what would an evil person be covering up? And then you'll ask them a question to see if your perception is right, and then you're like, it's right. And then they'll start telling you another version of that story, and you're like, why is your version of your story changing according to the question I just asked you? You're trying to make me believe you. You're trying to make me believe you. Now you're saying something else that you've never told anyone. So this is why it's very important to know what type of relationship is going on with that narcissistic parent and that golden child. Not every family, not every narcissist and the golden child treat everyone so messed up. Yes, some people just learn to play their position. And as long as everyone plays their role and no one is letting greed, as long as greed isn't taking over the family, I have nothing to say about it. As long as greed isn't taking over, I have nothing to say about it. But now when there's greed and people are suffering and they don't have a reason to really be suffering, or if they're suffering because they were they were doing bad things because the narcissist was controlling them. And now the narcissist is like, okay, now you're going to get your karma because I controlled you to do my dirty work. Now you're going to get your karma because as much as you want to hate me, you've done a lot of bad things. So you can't hate me. You can't hate me even if you tried, because I'm your master. So you hate me, but you hate that you love me. And that's what you're going to see. You're going to see these people hate them, but they hate that they love them. And that was all part of the narcissist agenda. So these are things that are very important, because you're going to be able to determine what these people are going to do to you before they do it and the outcome of it. These people thought that she was going to die, and then they're going to have this ceremony, and that nobody was going to know the dirt between them, how deep and how diabolical and sinister it really truly is. And the real reason they can't tolerate me at all, to the point where they're like, we want to hurt you in any way that we can. We're going to try to hurt you by using people that you love the most. Now we're going to take people away from you, right? But those people that they took away, they're not my people if they can be taken away that easily, especially if they actually know who I am as a person. So, that's why they can't stand me. And that's because they thought they were going to do this ceremony, and no one was going to know. And they're going to, have all this power and this big celebration. And now half those people aren't coming, and people see through them. And now they're just like, we know you want to have a celebration, and some people might come out of respect, but they're not going to give that energy that narcissist thought that they were going to get. They thought, I'm going to get all this energy and just invoke myself into everyone, invoke myself into people, and after I die, my golden child isn't going to tell the truth because they're a liar just like me. They're never going to tell the truth. I know them too well. I trust them. So everyone's going to be running around in circles. And that's what they believe. That's what they were getting off on. And once I burst their bubble, and now everyone knows and everyone doesn't see them that way. And then you have those people that are going to be loyal to them, right? And those people are going to get the biggest karma, and they're getting it, but they don't care that they're getting that karma. And they think they think the karma is done, and it's not even done. It's just getting started, because now it's their turn to go through that pain. And now it's the empath's turn to actually be happy and actually be at peace, because you actually have a full understanding on this, while they're trying to figure out everything like a puzzle. And they're just going through the cycles and feel like they're crazy and disbelief and confused, and things are changing, the relationships are changing, and they're victimizing themselves when they know that they were flying monkeys at one point. So there's different seasons for all of us. So they were trying to premeditate what was going to happen for your future, because they knew that certain things were going to emotionally mess with you if you didn't have a clear understanding of what happened. This is why they love lying to people. The golden child is like, I was going to be the person everyone hated, and I was supposed to be the one that, everyone was going to hate and say that I took advantage of my mom. But in reality, me and my mom were both in this together, so you guys can't make me feel bad. You guys are trying to punish me, but you're only punishing yourself, because you guys are giving me clout. You're giving me energy, because you guys are accusing me of being evil and saying that I stole this money when I didn't steal. And that's giving them power. That's giving them energy. So once you know what they did, and you know that both of them were in on it, you won't be attacking that person as much, because you're going to say, well, my mom or my dad shouldn't have done that to me in the first place. And you'll see that just like the narcissist, once you know who they are, they try to avoid you. You'll see that your narcissistic parent will try to avoid you too, to the point where they'll discard you, their own flesh and blood. They'll sacrifice you. They won't talk to you anymore. They'll change their number that they've had for 50 years, and they'll get cameras and installed, and they're scared of you. They know what they did to you. So they know what they did. They know that they premeditated everything. So this is for you, so that you can forgive. Don't think that they got away with it, because when that person dies and that ceremony doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen the way they wanted it to happen and they planned on it to happen, and you're not invested the way they thought you were going to be invested, you're just hurt about what they did. So the fact that they know that you're hurt, they know they're going to get their karma. So they're trying to mock you as if they're not getting their karma, and you'll see that things will start happening to them, and they're telling other people not to tell you. They're telling other people to keep things a secret. So they'll keep focusing on you while their lives are being tormented by these demons that they were praising. So I hope that this video, you guys, was helpful for your healing, for you to understand what's going on. Narcissists, they are really on another scale of they don't care. And I won't judge, I won't judge, but it's very sad that things have to be this way, that people have to suffer this way. And it's, we all have different stories and things like that. But it's something that happens in almost every family. Just like when you're in school, it's a competition. You go into the world, it's a competition. And you're like, I don't want to compete. I just want to live. And why can't we just be happy? And it's just like greedy people everywhere, and they don't want you to be successful. They don't want you to live. They want to call you lazy, and you're trying to work hard, and they're just taking and taking and taking and judging and judging and judging, and copying and copying and copying and, controlling and controlling and controlling. So, I'm sending you guys lots of prayers, love, light, peace, and your healing. If you guys want to book a session with me, my information is on the description. Do not forget to please like this video and subscribe. If you guys like this content and you guys would like to hear more of my podcasts, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Love you guys. Bye.